the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning. Good morning. So glad to see all of you here this morning. Turn with me to the Gospel according to St. Matthew. Gospel recorded by St. Matthew, the 6th chapter. And the 32nd verse. Gospel recorded by St. Matthew, the 6th chapter, and the 32nd verse. For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. Here in our text, the word Gentile is not used in the same way that we normally hear or see the word used. Typically, when you see the word Gentile, it's meant to distinguish between those who are Jews and those who are non-Jews. Non-Jews are generally referred to as Gentiles, and we normally make a distinction between Jews and non-Jews, but that's not how the word is being used in this text. The word Gentile is translated from the Greek. The word is ethnos. Ethnos is where we get the word ethnic from. The word ethnos means a group or a race or people, but particularly in this text, what it means are those who do not believe in God. When Jesus says that the Gentiles eagerly seek after all these things, what Jesus is really saying is this: those who do not believe in God seek after all of these things. But the Heavenly Father knows that you have need of this. This passage from the 6th chapter of Matthew concerns our desire for basic needs. All of us have this experience. We all have the experience of trying to meet our basic needs. And I really just shouldn't limit it to all of us here, because this has been the experience of every human being since time began. At some level, in one way or another, everyone has to meet basic needs of food, shelter, and clothing. Everyone concerned about these needs. And if we are not concerned about these needs, we will not survive well, and we certainly won't survive long. Our basic needs must be taken care of, and this seems reasonable for us. And while it might seem reasonable for us, Jesus wants to teach us a different way. Here, Jesus is teaching the disciples. In fact, this passage is taken from a much longer teaching which we refer to as the Sermon on the Mount. This whole sermon, the teaching that begins in chapter 5 and continues through chapter 7, is Jesus' instructions to his disciples. He is instructing them on how they are to be and to live as his disciples. In chapter 5, he sets a distinct contrast between the way they were taught and how he now wants them to live. If you look at chapter 5, passages start with the saying, "You have heard it said." And then Jesus will say, "But I say to you." Jesus is giving them a new instruction. He is teaching the disciples how they are to live, not by following the old law of the Pharisees, but as his disciples, they are to live a different way. Because it is written here in Matthew's gospel, it's not just for the 12 disciples that we're used to talking about. It's written for us too. We who are going to be Jesus' disciples, we too must follow his new way of teaching. So for today, Jesus is trying to teach us a new way of living. This is how we must live if we are going to be his disciples. Now let's take a closer look at this passage. In verse 25, Jesus says, "This is why I tell you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, or your body, what you will wear." Jesus tells his disciples that they should not worry, or that they should not be anxious about their basic needs of their lives. They should not be anxious about what they will eat. They should not be anxious about what they will drink. They should not be anxious of what they would wear. They should not be anxious of any of these things. When we read this and understand what is meant in verse 32, we should have a different understanding of what Jesus is saying to us. Let's look at this again in light of what we know about verse 32. Don't be anxious over your life. Being anxious about your life is what those who don't know God do. Don't be like them. Don't be anxious about what you're going to eat. Being anxious about what you're going to eat is what those who don't know God do. Don't be like them. Don't be anxious about what you're going to drink. Being anxious about what you're going to drink is what those who don't know God, that's what they do. Don't be like them. Don't be anxious about what you're going to wear. Being anxious about your clothing is what those who don't know God do. Don't be like them. All of this makes no sense for us because we live in Western society. Because we live in Western society, we have far more than any of us need. So why would we be anxious about those things? Sometimes we just don't understand how privileged we are living in Western society. How many of us stand in our kitchen, open the refrigerator. Refrigerator is full, and we say we don't have anything to eat. We all live in cities, fluoride-treated, purified water, and yet we say we don't have anything to drink. How many of us open our walk-in closets, look at closet full, and then say, I don't have anything to wear? The fact that we can open a full refrigerator and a full closet is far beyond anything that the disciples could ever have imagined. And yet, we still believe that we have nothing. When we say we don't have anything, what we're really saying is that we're not satisfied with what we have. Sure, We have what we need. We're just not satisfied with that. We want more than what we have.
My God.
And our saying that we don't have anything or we don't have what we need is really our being exasperated with not having what we want. All of this is what the Gentiles do. Gentiles. Those who do not believe in God. That's how they act. Gentiles are concerned about all of these things. Jesus says, don't be like them. The reason Jesus tells us not to be like the Gentiles, not to be like those people who don't believe in God, because as his disciples, as people who do believe in God, we should trust God to provide all of our needs. Listen to the words of our text. Your heavenly Father knows that you have need of these things. If God knows that we have need of these things, why can't we trust God to provide them? What is it about us that makes us believe that we can be a better provider than God? What is it about ourselves that makes us want to do for us more than we could allow God to do for us? Are we better providers than God? In verse 26, Jesus tries to embarrass us. I know you don't read it that way. In verse 26, Jesus tries to embarrass us. Jesus says, look at all the birds. See them flying there? Not one of them goes without your Father's notice. He feeds every one of them. Look at the lilies of the field. See them there in all of their splendor. Not even Solomon was arrayed like all of these. And then in verse 30, Jesus says, God can do all of that for the birds and for the lilies. How much more will God do for you? Oh, you of little faith. And maybe that's the problem. We have little faith. We do not have the faith to trust God in little things. Sure, when we have a crisis, when we have a health condition, when we are faced with something we cannot handle ourselves, then yes, we turn to God. We fall on our knees and cry to God and ask God to deliver us from all of these things. But the day-to-day needs of our life, we think we can do that on our own. Why can't we trust God for little things? Why can't we trust God for basic things? If the birds are cared for, if the flowers of the field are arrayed, how much more will God do for you? When you go back up to verse 24, Jesus says that we cannot serve both God and money. Some translations will say mammon. But money here is more than just cash or currency. Money is that which we seek after but will not last. If we seek after today and obtain it, it won't last, and we'll have to seek after more tomorrow. When we seek after it and obtain it tomorrow, it won't last, and we'll have to go and seek after it again. Jesus questions why we would seek after those things which will not last. Thursday, Dr. James came all the way to Durham because nobody would come out and play with him in Charlotte. Poor thing. He came to my house, and then we drove here for dinner because no one would feed him in Charlotte. Poor thing. We went to Richardson's house first, and then we came over to the Lawrences, and trust me, we were indeed thankful. And finally, we were on our way home. It was about 8:30 when we passed the outlet mall there in Meta. And do you know at 8:30 at night that mall was packed? I don't know what time the mall opened, and I certainly don't know what time that it closed. All I know is that when I went past it, it was packed. People were out shopping for new things, supposedly after having given thanks earlier the day for the things that they had. But for some of us, what we have is enough. And after sitting down at the table and giving thanks, then we have to rush out and go get more things. And you know, didn't we just buy all that stuff last year? Aren't we shopping this year for the same deals that were offered last year? All of these things do not last. If they lasted, we wouldn't be out year after year looking for the same deals. Year after year, we believe we need more stuff. None of it will ever last. That's why we chase after more stuff year after year. You know what Jesus says about all of that? Chasing after stuff year after year is what the Gentiles do. You know, those people that don't believe in God, that's what they do. Jesus says to us, don't be like them. You're my disciples. This is not how my disciples act. My disciples don't chase after things that don't last. Here's what my disciples do. They seek first the kingdom of God and God's righteousness. And when you seek first God's kingdom and God's righteousness, then all these other things will be added to you. We don't have to act like the Gentiles, those people who don't know God. No, we are his disciples. Because we're his disciples, we trust him for everything that we need. We don't have to chase after things that won't last. We will chase after the kingdom, his righteousness. And when we chase after that, all other things will be added to us. Amen.